Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Ayo me fele sama,
Me fele sama,
mama me fele sama,
me fele sama,
tita me fele sama,
me fele sama,
ay mama me fele sama,
me fele sama,
brother me fele sama,
me fele sama, me fele sama, me fele sama, me fele sama, me fele sama, me fele sama.
mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama, mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama, mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama, mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama.
Ayo me fele sama,
Me fele sama,
mama me fele sama,
me fele sama,
tita me fele sama,
me fele sama,
mama me fele sama,
me fele sama,
me fele sama.
me fele sama.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama, mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama. Ayo.
Mina bakabusi nengre, mine pele obiama. Mina bakabusi nengre, me fele sama,
Ayo me fele sama,
me fele sama,
mama me fele sama,
me fele sama,
tita me fele sama,
me fele sama,
mama me fele sama,
me fele sama,
mama me fele sama,
me fele sama,
tita me fele sama.
me fele sama.
Okay, what it do, Sober Soldier, salute. This is Stick from Dead Prayers with my partner, M1, and you are in tune to GotKushTV.
There was empires in Africa called Kush, Timbuktu, where every race came to get booked. My success to you, even if you wish me the opposite. Sooner or later, we'll all see who the prophet is.
Achomi na jeli bojo kwe, ni biane nyenko GotKushTV, nye. My name is Na Jeli Bojo Kwe, and right now you're watching GotKushTV. Thank you.
Tendai Mwari, be thankful unto the Mother, Father, creative life force of the universe. Kudzai Mudzimu Mukuru. We give praises unto our great ancestors. Abibi Tumi, Abibi Fahodiye, African power and African liberation for all African people. Aibobo Bonkomba, Aibobo Bonkomba, Aibobo. Crimes, the most atrocious, such as were hitherto unheard of, and would cause nature to shudder, have been perpetrated. The measure of their cruelty overflowed. At length, the hour of vengeance has arrived, and the implacable enemies of the rights of man have suffered the punishment due to their crimes. My arm, raised above their heads, has too long delayed to strike. At that signal which the justice of God has urged, your hands, righteously armed, has brought the axe to bear upon the decrepit tree of slavery and prejudice. In vain had time, and more especially the infernal politics of Europeans, defended it with triple brass. You have stripped it of its armor, and have placed it upon your heart, that you may become like your natural enemies, cruel and merciless. Like an overflowing and mighty torrent that bears down all opposition, your vengeful fury has swept away every obstacle to its impetuous course. Perish thus all tyrants over innocence, all oppressors of mankind. Such is the wisdom of our Emperor Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Hail to the power of the word, Aibobo, Aibobo, Aibobo. We welcome you, brothers and sisters, to this another in our series, We Stand with AYITI. We stand with our brothers and sisters in AYITI. We stand with the mothers, the fathers, the sons, the daughters, the sisters, the brothers of AYITI, because AYITI, as has been affirmed to me by every guest that I've had in this series, AYITI is me, AYITI is you, AYITI is us all, especially if we are blessed with the consciousness to understand the AYITI within us. We have a very special and powerful guest joining us today, brothers and sisters. I'm going to bring you to her shortly. Yeah, so do stay tuned. We'll be getting to our guest very shortly. Forgive me, I'm just trying to sort out some technicals over here. All right. Okay. As it stands. But we are here, brothers and sisters. Want to send a special shout out to all those who are joining us from all around the world. We have an international audience, and our audience is growing internationally as well. And so we are appreciative of that fact. Want to give thanks to all brothers and sisters who joined us for our previous conversation concerning the CARICOM initiative, the CARICOM Presidential Council, brothers and sisters, which has been officially inaugurated, so to speak, a few days ago. We'll be getting into that shortly. Want to give thanks to Brother David Commichong, Ambassador David Commichong, for coming forward to present the CARICOM position, so to speak. Want to give thanks to Brother Leader Bandaka and Brother Jafrik AYITI, who came to provide analysis upon that position. If you have not watched that show, I encourage you, following the conclusion of this one, to check out that show, brothers and sisters. It is an important, vital conversation, and we are going to get deeper into that particular conversation today with our mama, ezilidanto. who blessed us with her presence during that particular conversation as she was in the viewing audience, brothers and sisters. And so we are going to get her direct reflection on the conversation, as well as go into many other issues. There are many things happening in today's world, brothers and sisters. And this particular issue of AYITI allows us to shine a light on the real nature of global geopolitics as it stands and the world in which we live. It's a microcosm of the African experience around the world. And so the more we detail it, the more we learn about ourselves wherever we are, wherever we come from. And it's important that we get this thing right, brothers and sisters. The word sounds that I had opened the show with today, as I've been opening the show with a leading light of Haiti, and most prominently, it has been our Emperor Jean-Jacques Dessalines, has some serious imagery and metaphor within the pronouncements. And I, as you all know, I'm a member of the Al-Kebulan Revivalist Movement. And every first Umoja Day Sunday of the month, we have our Shumida, our African spiritual worship. And I have been honored with the task of delivering the message for our upcoming Shumida brothers and sisters. And so I want to invite brothers and sisters who are based in the UK, and even if you're not, if you feel like taking a flight over to the UK for this session, yeah, feel free to do so, brothers and sisters. And the message will be on the theme of throw away the image of the white man's God, AYITI, and the vision of African liberation. Throw away the image of the white man's God, AYITI, and the vision of African liberation. Our ancestors in Haiti and all around the world had that vision, brothers and sisters. And so we're going to break it down on that day during that particular session. And some of the imagery that was within the pronouncements of Papa Jean-Jacques Dessalines, I'll be breaking down in even greater detail in the message. And so you don't want to miss that. You don't want to miss that for our international audience. Don't worry. It will be recorded, and at some point we'll bring it to you live via GotKushTV, brothers and sisters. Let me make sure that I acknowledge the chat. We want to big up Lead Clinton in the building. Setim Watep, as always, is here. We appreciate you, my brother. James O is about, brothers and sisters. Anthony McHale is in the building. Miriam Williams is in the building also. And we want to shout out to all those who are listening but haven't made their presence known from wherever you are in the world. Like I said, we have an international, international audience, brothers and sisters. And so we appreciate you wherever you are tuned in from. If you have not let us know where you're tuning from, feel free to do so right about now. Throughout the session, bigging up Buana over there in the Bahamas. Yes, indeed, brothers and sisters, the Bahamas is in the building. Bigging up Buana in the building. Where was I? If you have not liked the video, brothers and sisters, feel free to like the video. And throughout our session, if you would like to ask a question, you can do so in the chat. But I encourage you to @GotKushTV, and those who have modded, do what you've been doing all along, and please let me know if I've missed anything or if somebody has not added GotKushTV. And we ask you to do that just to make sure that we can differentiate between conversation that is taking place in the chat and conversation that is directed towards the panel. Yeah, so you don't have to ask a question. It could be a comment that you just want read out. You can feel free to do so, my brothers and my sisters. We are going to Mama Ezili Danto is here. She's asked for a few minutes, and so we're going to give her those few minutes. Once she's ready to come through, we will bring her through, brothers and sisters. And so to begin, it would be prudent for us to let's explore some of the dynamics that are currently taking place. Yeah, currently taking place in relation to Haiti and this presidential council that has been the initiative, they say, of the Caribbean community, CARICOM. Yes. And so I'm going to begin by reading for you the statement, yeah, that CARICOM released upon the inauguration of this council, or at least some of it. It's not very long, but we're going to get into this with our mama very soon. All right. So do stay tuned. Yes. And so this statement was posted on CARICOM's website on the 25th of April, just a few days ago. Statement from the Caribbean community on the installation and the transition of the Transitional Presidential Council in Haiti. One second. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna pause. Yeah, I'm gonna pause because our mama is ready. So let me just bring her through, and then we'll come back to that, brothers and sisters. All right. So we're just gonna bring our mama through, and as I've been saying to you, there are very few places, if any, that you'll be able to go in the world, brothers and sisters, and find more in-depth, pertinent, apt, and timely analysis on AYITI. Yeah, you have come to the right place today, brothers and sisters. And we want to introduce you to Mama Ezilidanto, a human rights lawyer, author, executive director of ZiliD, Clean Water Skills, Transfer, and Solar Energy for Haiti. I want you to pay attention to the fact that every guest that we brought through has work, yes, is engaged in work on the ground in Haiti, brothers and sisters, wherever they may live in the world, dedicated to correcting the media lies about Haiti. Ezilidanto is a writer, performance poet, and human rights lawyer. She is the founder and president of the Haitian Lawyers Leadership Network, dedicated to institutionalizing the rule of law in Haiti living at home and abroad. She runs the ezilidanto website, listserv, Eyewitness Project, Free Movement Haiti, and the online journal Haitian Perspective. With that, brothers and sisters, I introduce you to our great and divine mama, Mama Ezilidanto. Tendamwari, greetings, Mama Ezili.
Ayi Bobo, honor and respect. Honor and respect to all your listeners and all those who will listen to this when it's over. Thank you for having me.
Yes, Mama, the honor is ours. Yeah, most definitely, the honor is ours, and we appreciate you for giving us your time. We know that you are very busy, especially at a moment like these. But I know that you know the importance of your voice in this moment, and so we appreciate you being here to share with us, our mama. I tend to begin, hopefully, by as much as possible giving voice to our people on the ground in Haiti, and many of our guests are connected as regularly as possible with brothers and sisters on the ground in Haiti. And so, what would you be able to tell us about, some of the voices of our people in Haiti at the moment? What are our people saying? What are they engaged in? How are they feeling? And let's give us a sense of what's happening on the ground.
Well, a lot of people are very confused about this 7-headed or 9-headed CARICOM Council, because a lot of the folks that are in there have been part of the previous governments that have left us with these gangs. For instance, the Prime Minister, Patrick Boisvert, is appointed by Ariel Henry. So they wonder, what is the change? He was the one that replaced Ariel Henry when Ariel Henry supposedly, based on the script that the internationals were playing, couldn't come back into Haiti. So he's still now interim prime minister, appointed by the government of Ariel Henry. That's illegal. So the people on the streets are, there's if you're being raped in a room and you have nowhere out, then anything that looks like hope will make you feel, maybe something is coming. So there's those who think that maybe something is coming. But then on the other hand, what you have to be very clear about, I am very clear, is that there are two powers in Haiti.
Mm-hmm.
the Guy Philippe barbecue militias,
Mm-hmm.
and the CARICOM core group politicians.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Both are regulated by the same imperialist. Period. Let's be very clear about that.
Very clear. Very clear. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm.
and the imperialist is always using, since the time, they killed Toussaint for it, but black ruled French colony is what he thought he could fight for. And that's the template all over the Caribbean. That's not
Mm.
Dessalines' template. Dessalines' template is black rule, independent nation. And
Yes,
since
sir.
the Republic has been captured since the time of Dessalines' assassination by mulatto sons of France, we have been a maroon nation.
Mm.
So I can tell you about the maroon nation, some of it,
Yes, mama.
but we are
Mm-hmm.
at war.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The whole family is at war, as you can
Mm-hmm.
tell from what you see on TV. There is no
Mm.
distinction between killing men, women, and children.
Yes.
But
Yes.
what you must understand that colonialism runs through acts of violence.
Mm.
We are the colonists' number one enemy.
Mm-hmm.
We are the one that stands in contradiction to what he is
Mm-hmm.
since the beginning.
Mm.
Understand, my people, that Haiti is the land of liberty that put liberty into application. The United States, though it got rid of colonialism from Britain, it never put liberty into application. What do I mean by that? Today, the 13th Amendment makes slavery still legal in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Haiti abolished slavery, abolished direct colonialism, forced assimilation, and the triangular trade.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are at least 11, I count, American communities where Black folks were so inspired by what Dessalines and Tantoya did, and the
Mm-hmm.
women of the Congo and the men of the Congo and the men and women of the Dahomey and all over West Africa down to Angola and so on. So inspired that they
Mm-hmm.
name their communities Hayti. They spelled it
Yeah.
Hayti. So there's
Mm.
Hayti, North Carolina, Hayti, Missouri, Hayti, Mississippi. You can find it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what scares them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so what we're looking at is that the core group,
Mm-hmm.
which is 6 nations, which have
Yep.
come together as a syndicate,
Mm-hmm.
a mafia,
I was gonna say mafia operation. Yep.
in violation of the rule of law in the
Mm-hmm.
Viennese Convention on Diplomatic Relations.
Mm.
They're not neutral. They are about intervention. The
Yes.
U.S. is running its intervention script right now.
Right.
And in that intervention script, it does 2 things. It intervenes, and now since it really, really wants a final solution, it had intervened with MINISTA in 2004,
Mm-hmm.
which came from mostly, there was 11 Latin American countries.
Yeah.
There were white folks. Now they
Yeah.
want Black folks.
Yeah.
And I urge folks to remember what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're going to be the stooges for the genocide.
Mm.
Right now, right after the swearing of this comedic 7-headed dragon,
Mm-hmm.
the UN triumphantly said that it now has 7 nations ready to
Mhm.
go to Haiti and bring order. And
This is
I
the
don't know-
UN, right? Sorry, Mama,
The
just to clarify, the UN said this, right?
The
Sorry, just to
UN
clarify,
said that.
not CARICOM said this. The UN said this.
The UN said,
Oh,
because
okay.
because remember, the rulers of Haiti are the core group.
Yes.
The core group consists of 3 organizations that controls post-World War II balance of power, which is the UN Security Council, even though it has Russia and China. But as you know, the BRICS have been mum about everything. They've been mum about Israel. They're mum about Haiti. So this pretense of a multipolar world, we're still waiting for it.
100%.
In that space of the Western Europeans running the UN, they control who goes out into UN missions. And it is a reward to give to collaborators or countries that they might need something from. So if I understand correctly, the you can look it up. 7 UN said just a couple of days ago or yesterday, they said that Jamaica, Bahamas, Barbados, Bangladesh. There's one more.
Is it Belize?
And Belize. Benin and Belize. All the bees. Benin, Bangladesh, Barbados, Bahamas. So these are obviously people that's going to look like you and me.
100%. Mama, we're going to come back to exactly that point very shortly. Yeah. Because I'm going to demonstrate, I'm going to play a video for brothers and sisters in terms of exactly what is actually taking place where that is concerned. Yeah. And some explanations of what is taking place there. Where I want to begin though, Mama, is that you were able to view, we're going to stay on this CARICOM question for a second. You were able to view our conversation with the brother Ambassador David Commission. And I'm not gonna direct the question to any specific point. I'm just gonna ask you for a general reflection on what you heard and anything that you would like to respond to, and then we'll get into some details in terms of what has taken place since the 25th of April.
Right. So CARICOM is acting on behalf of the imperialist. What is egregious about what they just did is that it violates. I have a law case. You can go to my website ezilidanto.com against the Èzili government for wanting to bring and asking for foreign intervention. It is against the Constitution, our Constitution, the Haitian Constitution.
Yep.
Right at the outset, CARICOM threw out the Haitian Constitution. At the outset.
Right.
They said this is something the United States has been trying to get legitimacy for since their agents killed Jovenel Moïse. So they said specifically, no matter what they tell you about the back and forth between 10 different or whatever, they had 10 different proposals from Haitians. At the end of the day, the producer of this macabre show is the United States, France, and Canada.
Right.
Each one of those CARICOM folks, except for some notable ones, which I'm not sure how notable they are anymore, so I won't even mention everything. Each one of them, right?
Yep.
I mean, we don't have our high court in England. And I know the garrisons have been putting politicians to power in Jamaica since the early 80s. Yeah, it is these people. They're going to tell Jean-Jacques Dessalines' Maroon Nation, not those integrated Negroes with the George Soros civil society folks. The ones that will tell you, well, you know, in this world, you know, we got to be pragmatic. We got to speak different languages. We got to sell the phantom of liberty that the U.S. and all of its Western hemisphere has been selling the world. Well, I'm one of those indigenous folks that they would never have at CARICOM or at those meetings. And I know that my voice has been here consistently for 30 years. No one called me. I don't even know who the guy is that they said represents the diaspora.
Yeah.
Much less the Ezili network. So understand very clearly that my colleagues and I sued the AYITI government just like the Kenyan lawyers did. And there's a ruling in Kenya that says that the deployment violates their constitution. A ruling. CARICOM just threw it out the window. And then they want to tell us they're about the rule of law. Now we have a case, but since all the judges are bought off by the PH Tikani or Duvaliers, we still haven't heard. But there is a ruling. And yet, CARICOM said to these Negroes, interesting enough, from Neo Duvaliers to Lavalas. So be very clear that my suit would name Lavalas right now.
Right.
Okay? For violating the Haitian Constitution. But at the same time, they're talking both sides of their mouths. Because when they took their sworn-in ceremony, it was they swore to uphold the Haitian Constitution. So this is the kind of comedy we're dealing with. The two very specific things that CARICOM required as a prerequisite for sitting part of this council was that you had to first agree to the Kenyan deployment and an intervention. And then agree that the most important thing is to go to elections. Since 1915, when the U.S. came in to exercise their manifest destiny and Monroe Doctrine and exploit Haiti directly, they have put in all the presidents and taken out whoever they wanted. Steve was the only one that wasn't put in by the international community. So this is where we are. They feel a domination is not enough for the United States. The reason why they won't have me at their spaces is because unlike those other men and women that you see there, I will complain.
Yes.
Although a lot of those folks, right? I can name names in the Montana Accord. They spent the last 3 years lobbying Washington. This is the problem with our intellectuals. They don't go to the people. I only speak to Haitians and Africans who are ready to hear what I have to say. I am not speaking to the vampire. I have no reason to speak to him or his barbarity.
Yes.
I know our history.
Right.
1825. The president of Haiti thought exactly what these Haitians think. Well, if we give him money, if we do what he wants, maybe he'll leave us alone.
Right.
Just
to clarify, Mama, for anybody who's not aware of what you're referring to, sorry, Mama, I just wanted to, I just wanted to clarify for people that may not be aware of what you're referring to. 1825 is when the French sailed to Haiti with 300 and something ships with 14 ships with 500 and something cannons to basically demand quote unquote reparations and indemnity as a cost, payment for Haiti having liberated itself. And what Mama is saying is that the government at the time thought that they could basically, subdue the French oppressor with a compromise, and what is happening now is a similar compromise that is taking place. Go ahead, Mama. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. Just wanted to clarify.
Right. So they the situation is horrendous for the people, specifically the people in the popular areas along the shoreline of Port-au-Prince.
Right.
I want those of you who you have to have a visual of the Gulf of Port-au-Prince. And then Cité Soleil is right there. And then you have Izo, one of the biggest, bigger than barbecue. Always remember that, okay, my people? Whatever they're telling you in the media, it's always something different. So it's not barbecue that's the biggest power in terms of the militias. It's Izo. Izo has access to the Colombian cartels, and he's doing drugs and organ trafficking. So the displacement is someone is benefiting, and it's not Haitian.
Right.
You understand? And so,
Yes,
so this is where we are. We have two powers that they've put in, and those two powers are scripted. And so they tell you, a lot of things have to do with, Biden's getting elections. So they had to do something with AYITI. So they create this narrative that these uneducated terrors have all this sophistication that they can stop U.S. military from bringing AYITI back.
Yeah.
And like media is saying that. All the media in Haiti and all the media everywhere is saying that. I've always said there's just no way. This is a script.
Right.
The United States has a naval base less than 15 minutes away at Guantanamo Bay.
Yep.
And in Port-au-Prince itself, it has the largest
embassy
in the Western Hemisphere. So for them to tell you that they had to close the airport, that these guys, no, they let them do this. They let them do this because the great disaster story sells.
100%.
That's the European white supremacist greatest asset.
Playbook,
It's like, turn the revolution into the great disaster story. But I'm here to tell you that we are the resistance.
Yes, Mama. Well, let us resist, Mama. Let us resist. I want to get into some details if we can, Mama. Yeah, in terms of this presidential council and who's on it and exactly who they're representing as far as organizations. Yeah. Before I do that, let me get into what I was going to do a while ago, which is just reading the first paragraph from this statement from CARICOM. And it says, the heads of government of the Caribbean community, CARICOM, welcome the formal installation of the Transitional Presidential Council and congratulate the members. The formal installation of the 9-member council at the Palais National this morning marks a significant achievement through a process driven by Haitians in the interest of Haiti. It also represents a critical step forward for both the council and the Haitian people in addressing the protracted multidimensional crisis afflicting the country. And so what I'm focusing on here is the idea that this process has been driven, this is quote unquote, driven by Haitians in the interest of Haiti. And this was echoed by our ambassador, David Commission, the other day. That is CARICOM and the Haitian organizations at the table that are in fact leading this process. Now, it's interesting that based upon those pronouncements, that all of the nations that have offered their troops have offered the troops not to the CARICOM, but to the UN, the United Nations, right? So it would stand to reason that if CARICOM was actually in control of the process, that they would be in liaison with CARICOM and not the United Nations, yeah? So give us an idea, Mama, of exactly what took place on the 25th of April. And if you are able to delve into any details of the people on the council and the organization they represent, please give us some details on that as well.
Okay. So this particular crisis, kind of, you can go back to July 2021, when U.S. agents from the DEA, FBI, CIA murdered, and the neo-Duvalierists that they have in power, the PH2K people, murdered Jovenel Moïse. Now they're coming to give us, and Jovenel Moïse, who was illegitimately put into office, needed gangs to maintain his rule, so that when the people went out into the streets, they could shoot them. They could do all that they needed to do to push them not to go out into the street. During Jovenel Moïse's reign, there was about 13 massacres, and you did not see that in the way you're seeing these massacres. Right? Because then they had what they call an elected government. It was okay for him to do what he did, just like it was okay for Duvalier to kill 100,000 Haitians, just like it was okay for the UN to kill through cholera 10 to 30,000 Haitians and make sick over 3 million. Some people say just 1 million. So it's okay. Haitian death is okay, except when they need the media to bring intervention into Haiti. Then it becomes violence porn, and how much the NGO poverty pimps care about us. So the beginning of the direct occupation of the core group started in 2004 on the bicentennial. I went to Haiti at that time because President Aristide wanted me to return to represent him. I had represented him back in 94, 91 when he was in exile the first time. When I was in Haiti in 2004, there was I was at the Montana Hotel, and the OAS representative came downstairs, and he was having an argument with the journalist.
Sorry, Mama. Sorry. Just to clarify, OAS is Organization of American States. Yes. Go ahead.
So go ahead, before CARICOM, since 2004, before CARICOM, the United States used the OAS to legitimize its fake elections. The OAS now no longer has no credibility, just like the UN. So now they've gone to CARICOM. Okay. But before, whenever they had their fake elections, they would have the Organization of American States come into IAT and observe what's going on and say, and no matter how awful it looked, and no matter how much corruption there was, they would just look to the United States. The United States would tell them what to say, and then they would say it. Now they have CARICOM. So the transitional presidential council that was just sworn in at the broken down National Palace, that has been broken down since the earthquake, and these people have no shame. In the land of King Henri the Builder, they have not been able to get together to build back that palace. It is the humiliation of colonialism. Because the U.S., like I was saying before, is not just about total domination. They have to humiliate us. They humiliate us with this carnival singer, the bisexual, cross-dressing Michel Martelly, who actually brought in. I remember when Michel Martelly was running for office, the U.S. used to empty out its prisons to send folks to Haiti, gang members, they call them, to come in and push for the vote for Mateli. I would remember that. This was in 2011, 2012. They used to come in, and I know because before I was doing this work in IT, I was an entertainment attorney. And I knew a lot about how they were using informants and so on. And so informants are used to take care of U.S. policy, not just in America. The FBI doesn't just work in America; it's supposed to.
Yes.
So between Thursday and Sunday, these men would fly in, and they would help run the campaign for Michel Mateli. And show how strong they are. There's one right now who's serving a couple of life sentences for drug dealing and so on. But they knew that already. And let me be clear again. Michel Mateli and Olivier Mateli are DEA assets. They are the only ones that have not been sanctioned yet. But when the U.S. does sanction them, they'll all of a sudden say, former DEA agent. As soon as they let them go, they're former. So the 9 folks come from, a lot of them come from Lavalas, former Lavalas, and former PHTK. And then you have, so for Fritz Alphonse is the member. He's from the Montana Accord.
Right.
Leslie Voltaire represents Lavalas. Emmanuel Vertulaire represents Petite Dessalines. Petite Dessalines is Moïse Jean-Charles' party. He started out as a mayor in Cap-Haïtien, and he was Lavalas. What you have to remember is the U.S. pummeled Lavalas from 2004. I know what intervention is because from 2004 to 2016, 2004 to 2006, the minister mission that came into Haiti killed 14 to 20,000 Haitians. It wasn't reported, and none of these people who are now complaining about what's going on in Haiti and that's so visual said anything. None of the Pétionville people, right? A lot of the people from Montana Accord were part of the coup d'etat. And these guys now have been lobbying the United States to take down Ariel Henry and put themselves in power. And now they make part of this soup of former Lavalas, former PHTK, and PHTK. And then you have OPL, who's been around for a while. So Edgar Leblanc fils is from something called the January 30th Accord. Louis Gérard Gilles, who's trying to be now the president, like they all are running to be the president of the Council of Presidents.
Right.
Right. Alice, with no security and no food sovereignty, where the Syrian Lebanese own all the economic levers. That's what we want to be president of. Louis Gérard Gilles, Accord 21 September. The 21 September Accord is the one that Ariel used to pretend legitimacy, just like they're pretending this council has legitimacy. Okay, but no one went to the people of Haiti. All right, so we have Leslie Voltaire, Lavalas, Fritz Jean, Montana Accord, Emmanuel Vertulaire, I told you, Petite Dessalines, who used to be Lavalas, and then you have the private sector. What they mean is the economic sector, the economic elite, excuse me. And then you have a new person. His name is Smith Augustin. He's from AD, the party of the guy who was the prime minister under Jovenel Moïse right before Jovenel died. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So the same people who've been in power are in this space. So, and he takes over. They had a woman named Dominique Dupree, and there was a whole. I'll get to that because that's really important. Ask me about why this there's the Constitution, Article 135 says that in order to be part of like prime minister, president, whole position, you have to not have renounced your citizenship, and you have live within 5 years in Haiti within 5 years. One of the things that this accord did was to waive those requirements. My understanding, you're not talking to us Haitians, I have to read it. My understanding is the reason they did that was because a lot of people left Haiti because of the insecurity, and they couldn't live 5 years, and they wanted to be part of this government. But Ariel Henry, in order to flex his power, right after this CARICOM Accord came out, he put out a decree asking everyone to show me your passports. Pursuant to Article 135 of the Haitian Constitution. See, you have to laugh at the contradictions, right? A man who violates the Constitution is asking the people who's about to come in violation of the Constitution to
respect the Constitution,
to show him that their citizenship. Okay, so this one woman, apparently she was an NGO person, and she had U.S. citizenship. So she's replaced because of the hoopla by Smith Auguste, and she's from the party of AD. Then, like I said, Louis Joachil, who was Arcor 21. I remember in 2004 he was Lavalas.
Right.
Edgar Le Blanfy, that's OPL, that's been around for a while. And then they have two other folks. One is from the diaspora, they're non-voting members.
Right.
And I believe his name is Fresnel Joseph from Société Civile. I know one of them was replaced. So Smith Augustin, yep. So and then and then this lady replaced her name. There's a lady now because I guess seeing all these men was a little bit jarring. So they added a woman to replace and her name is Regine Abraham.
Right.
And you see the politics of identity of the demon rats, right? Doing you could tell which country is actually writing the script, right?
Right.
I obviously wrote this script because they love to use black women and black faces when they're screwing you and doing their colonization. So this black woman who she's actually a member of the Ariel Henry government. So there's nothing new here.
Right.
Regine Abraham. She replaces Renee Jumeau. And it's my understanding that she was a former cabinet minister of environment. I'm assuming that, just don't quote me on it, but her biography reads she's director of Ministry of Environment. So since they didn't say former, I assume she's part of Ariel Henry's because they would have said it. I believe they would have said, she was under Mateli or she was under. So all these people, at least 60% of these people have connection to the neo-Duvalierist government that brought down democracy in Haiti in 2004. And then you have the splintered and shattered Lavalas.
Right. Understood.
That's what it looks like.
Understood. Just to clarify some of the terminology, neo-Duvalierist, are those who were loyal to the Duvalier regime, yeah, of Papa Doc and Baby Doc, in of the 1940s into 50s into the 1980s, yeah. And so we want to clarify that. But these were brutal, tyrannical individuals who were, as always, backed and subsidized by the American government and the West in general, in that regard. And then we have those who are of the party of Jean-Bertrand Aristide, who is to date the only truly elected president of AYITI, and the movement that was a grassroots movement that became a political party. But as Mama has said, as has been said in previous shows, they've been attacked mercilessly for the last 20 years at least. And so basically what we see today is not necessarily the Lavalas of 20 years ago. But that does present some contradictions, Mama Ezili, because many will say, well, you know, at least when you look at the fact that Lavalas has been banned, yeah, from participation in any of these procedures for the better part of a decade and a half at this point, many would say that it's actually a step forward that Lavalas or people that were previously Lavalas or the remnants of Lavalas, however one would consider it, is actually at the table. Many would see this as a positive step forward, and we might consider it to be you know, an engagement in what is referred to as realpolitik, yeah, that this is the table that has been set at the moment, and it's better to engage rather than to disengage, right? Because maybe they're playing politics in the sense of the fact that they may be able to wrestle the reins of power in the interest of the people at some point in the process. What do you say to the possibility of that?
Experience.
Okay.
I say I have experience.
Right.
I say I am not an academic. I have lived this before.
Okay.
You know, I've already told you that Petron and Boye, they thought that, you know, if we just pay these people,
right,
maybe they would go away and let us live. So we paid for 122 years. That was after 300 years of slavery in the Western Hemisphere. And a 13-year war where we lost half of our population. There were 500,000 Africans, 250. We paid. But today, they want our lands again. The land that we paid for, with 122 years of usury, billions of dollars. So how do we survive all of this? So essentially, I was listening to one of those folks. You can watch them. One of the folks that is part of this, actually Lavalas. I was listening to Leslie Voltaire from Lavalas. I know this man. He has been around for 30 years. He's been almost in every single government for the last 30 years. Okay? If you last that long in AYITI, that means you're doing something right for the imperialist.
Okay.
Anyways, essentially what I hear is that what you're saying, real politics. We have to integrate with injustice. We have to get all of them together, all these Negroes, put them together, the pro-democracy and the pro-dictatorship. Because for the white man, it doesn't matter to him.
Right.
He's going to rule anyways. But he actually wants you to like it. That's his thing. He wants you to like it.
Yeah.
You understand? And Lavalas fought very hard.
Yeah.
And there are still those who are fighting. But the top of the the party right now has gone awry.
Right.
Right? Because all
Yes.
I have to do is change the name of Èzili to these 9 folks
Right.
file the same lawsuit.
Yeah.
Right? Because this is how illegal what they're doing is. So 2 of the precondition to be part of this council is you have to agree to the intervention of Kenya. A chapter 7 shoot to kill. You only use those in civil war, right?
Right.
Chapter 7 shoot to kill, right? Instead of lifting up the embargo on arms so that they give arms to the Haitian police and tanks and resources, and then stopping the illegal guns that's coming from Port Lafitte, which is Bijou, who's sanctioned. He's a Syrian. The Syrian Lebanese replaced the mulattoes. I don't want to hear people talk about the mulattoes in Haiti. They don't exist. Okay, they don't exist. Saline said in his right after he got rid of all of our executioners and spies. This is after he let Rochambeau go with 7,000 troops, right?
Troops,
white people, they actually are delusional. They kill you and kill you and kill you, and then they want you to accept seeing them around. Dessalines said, hell to the no, get out or you die.
Dessalines said, when shall we be wearied of breathing the same air as them?
Exactly. We still not wary of that. Those people running around with a teacup and their little pinky up, bowing to the queen, whatever. They still delusional because their education has given them the Stockholm syndrome, where they actually relate to their executioners. So then they start hurting us. But essentially, 122 years of paying debt, and then having gunboat diplomacy, and then having them come and take our gold, and then having them, all of that was never enough. And yet intellectuals still think they can talk to this vampire. We're in a situation right now where so besides Kenya, they in order to be part of this 7-headed dragon or snake, you had to accept Kenyan deployment on a chapter 7 shoot to kill, right? And part of their mandate, nobody knows, because the resolution said that they're there to just come in and secure property, not life. All right. Now, I was there when they did that in 2004. And so my experience is this. I was in Washington at that time, represented President Aristide, and he had been in exile for 3 years. During the time he was in exile, from 1991 to 1994, what's happening right now was happening in Haiti. The Tonton Macoutes were killing La Famille C'est la Vie children and other folks who identify with Lavalas. And at that time, there was not this division in the popular areas in the way it is now. At that time, if you were poor, you were assumed to be Lavalas.
Right.
And so they were killing poor people like no tomorrow. They were sitting at a meeting where they were discussing Bill Clinton's bringing back Aristide. Some of us who know history, I was too young to even have a voice at that time. I believe what they said made sense. That's why I can tell you right now, those 9 people in their real politics don't make sense. Because back then, what they told me, my elders, who I respected, they said, we're going to go back Aristide's not is gonna try not to give them everything they want. Like somehow they're going to outwit the white man without money, media, or military.
Right.
Just for what? Talking to him?
Yeah.
So that's what the CARICOM people believe they're gonna do. At least the ones with good hearts.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Who have just dealt with 3 years of being totally stranded in a place, right? So the fear is real.
Yeah.
Then, okay, when I was representing Aristide, what they told me was the reason why they would accept Bill Clinton bringing in 20,000 troops when they didn't do that. All you do is fly them in. Right? Was because they wanted to stop the killing. The killing was massive. The rape, frappe, Toto Constant, they were raping people the way you see the death squads today doing it, the EZOs, the barbecues, the T9s, the way they're doing it, right? To the point that I represent a lot of women who've been raped by these, just like the ones back in 1991 and 1994. You understand? And they just wanted it to stop. They just wanted to breathe. Okay? Same thing happened to Boyer. He just wanted to breathe. They were cannons outside. Right? At that time, doing the 1825, no one had recognized our independence. And we expected them to come back. They said they were coming back. Right? But then they want all the academics, all they sit around writing is how Dessalines murdered white people. Nobody talks about what they did to us, how they hanged us, how the first they gassed us in their boats, snuff boats. They had snuff boats. And the people they gassed the most at that time were the mulattoes. Because at that time, there's a whole story you don't know about us. A lot of like one of Napoleon's biggest adversaries was a black general from Haiti named Alexander Dumas. Do you understand? And then you had Joseph Boulogne from Guadeloupe. He was another one. He was another mulatto who actually beat them all at their fencing. He was the greatest fencer in Europe. So imagine the small minds of these fearful vampires. So when Roosevelt got to Haiti, it was his time to kill the mulattoes. So he killed them so much that the mulattoes who came on the Leclerc Armada to bring back slavery, that was Boyer and Pétion. The ones that killed Dessalines, when they saw that they were being killed too, and that all their rights were being taken over, right, by this little short Napoleon, they joined Dessalines. But that was a short-lived thing up until 1806. But because when Dessalines did his Liberté pour l'amour, he said, listen, we can't even breathe the air that these executioners, these murderers, these evil assassins, right? And he said, all they've been doing for the last 13 years is planning and plotting. So right now, who are they? They're part of they call themselves humanitarians, and they're in AYITI, CIA agents, the U.S. Embassy, the core group, planning and plotting, trying to divvy up what we have, trying to destroy us and live off of the great Haiti disaster story. But one of the two of the commandments of Dessalines, the first one was don't let them divide. Mixed race and the pure African. Well, the mulattoes didn't abide by that. They're no longer in Haiti. The other one was never again shall a white man or European step foot on this land as master or proprietor, because that's what they were doing. That's why he had to get them out, right?
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
skin privilege. Okay. You all know the story. In 1915, the United States came back and FDR rewrote our Constitution to bring about letting white people own land in this tiny little place that we paid 122 years
Yes. Yes.
for
Yes.
that, and
That's
died in a war, a 13-year war. But today, the United States, we have something called the remnants of the work of the Lavalas movement. It's still in something called the 1987 Constitution.
right.
It was put together after the Duvalier. And although it doesn't say Dessalines' law about no white man to own land, it says no foreigner can own mines and waterways and so on. The second condition to be part of this cabal of 9 folks that CARICOM, that the United States, like CARICOM, say that the United States have been trying to do for since 2004, destroy the Constitution, right? Is that they part of the work of this 9-headed council is that they're going to hold a referendum to amend the Constitution.
Right. Mama, we're going to stay slightly more. I want to delve into one element of this, then we're going to move on to some of the military aspects of this thing. Yeah. The part of they list a number of organizations who are part of this group. Yeah. And then they say private sector. Okay. But the private sector is not defined. It's not there are no specific corporations, businesses, institutions, or individuals, named as far as private sector is concerned. Yet, as you've mentioned already, through people like Sherif and Gilbert Bigiot, and Renaud and all these people who are millionaires and one's a billionaire in Haiti. A lot of these people, they were the ones who controlled the ports through which literally all of the ports in Haiti are controlled by the quote unquote private sector, the elite, the non-African elite in Haiti. And so when they say private sector was a part of this process, what exactly did they mean? This is a question that I was meaning to ask the ambassador, David Commission, but we didn't have the blessing of an abundant amount of time. So are you able to shed any light on the role that the quote unquote private sector has in this process, and who exactly are they, and what exactly are they doing?
Well, I think this sincere person is the head of the Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
So he would presumably represent entrepreneurs. But in Haiti, when they're talking about private sectors, they're talking really about the Syrian Lebanese who actually own over 95% of the economics of Haiti.
Right.
And then, so they own the franchises. So if there's a Toyota company, it's one of their families that has it.
Right.
And also, one of the things I've been trying to get Haitian to understand, especially the diaspora, some of those who actually want to be politicians, although I don't know why you would want to do that. I always say, if you really want to go into that space, the best place to be is at the consulates.
Right.
So every consulate is controlled by one of these Syrian Lebanese, and they've controlled. Some of them have controlled it for over 100 years, 60 to 100 years. The Hunda family controls let's say the consulate in India. I know because I did the ZiliD project. This is our dream to do, right? To bring about. We are a country of people of the sun, a country of the sun, right?
Yes.
And we envision bringing about solar power energy
Mm-hmm.
to fuel everything in Haiti. And that's
Mhm.
one of the projects that I've been doing. So,
Yep.
but I didn't want to do it through diaspora intermediaries. I
Right.
want to train the market women
Right.
in Haiti. So we
Mm.
found a university, it was called Barefoot College in India,
Yeah.
where they trained women, mothers, to
Yeah.
learn about solar power and how to create solar panels and how to run a solar grid.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
understand? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's one of our vision is clean water, solar power, and skills transfer.
Yes, sir.
And so when if we get to the solution parts, this is
We're
where
gonna get there. We're gonna get there. Definitely. Don't worry.
okay.
Mhm.
So in those, so I always say to those anybody who wants to be a politician or who wants to participate, right? Get one of those franchises, the consulates,
Yes.
because
Yes.
that's
Yes.
where the economic door is. Their
Yeah.
families get the grant. Like I remember when I worked I worked as coordinateur de bailleurs de fonds. When I went back to Haiti as legal advisor to President Aristide, when I saw the nonsense that was going on in the palace, and
Mm.
I had left my law office I was an entertainment attorney to participate, to give a hand to a legal defense bar. That was what my job was going to be. But the
Yeah.
United States Agency for International Development and the U.S. Embassy said that
Yeah.
essentially I had to come and work for an NGO that they put together
You're right.
and that the UN sanctioned. And I said, no,
Mhm.
I don't work for white people in America. I can't do that in Desaline's land. That was the choices that I was given. And
Right.
they did not know who I was. So they because
That's what you
a
can. Yeah.
lot of there is the apartheid in Haiti is tremendous. And it's even more vicious because
Yes.
none of these intellectuals want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You understand? That was the first thing I saw. If you're
Yeah.
in Haiti and you're one of these intellectuals you see there in the CARICOM and Reddit, whatever they are, unless they're working for a NGO or an
Yeah.
international organization,
Mm-hmm.
they're making nothing.
Right.
The
Right. Right.
international organizations come into your country, they make
Yeah.
$500 a day, or maybe at the minimum 200 a day,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
a regular Haitian lawyer is
Yeah.
making McDonald's wages. I remember when I was at the
Mm-hmm.
minister's office, right?
Mm-hmm.
The lawyer that was teaching the white guys who came, who were making the 500 a day, were making less than McDonald's wage, and they called them translators.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The one that was actually telling them about Haitian law. So until
Mm.
we change that,
Mm.
until when you are in a black country, a white person can't come along and they're getting paid
Mm-hmm.
U.S. wages while you're getting paid Haitian wages. There would be no respect for you.
No respect. No respect at all.
No respect for you.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to work for the international community as soon
Yeah.
as they
Yeah.
go to school.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying to you is happening all over Africa.
Yeah. 100%.
So
100%.
when that happens, and so that's why our solution is you can't come to my country and make this more money than the lawyer that's teaching you.
Teaching you. Yeah. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
You
No
understand?
respect.
But it's their money. And
Mm-hmm.
what people don't understand is that U.S. aid is about giving employment to U.S. citizens in your country.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not about building capital assets in your country.
No, not at all. And this is what we need to understand, Mama. Like, anyway, we have to come back to that particular point, because I just asked you about the private sector and what their involvement was in this situation. Yeah, But we have to understand that the private sector in Haiti, in a more obvious sense than in many other countries, is a criminal enterprise. It's a criminal institution. Yeah, it's through a lot of these people that the militias have been armed, right? We have to understand directly, yes. And a lot of these people are in league with the politicians as they are in other places, but it's very obvious. And so that's why I wanted to ask that question.
Well, then let me tell you, okay, folks, go to my IG. You'll see all this information, or go to the Free Haiti movement on Facebook. Go to my album section. I have something called the Gangs of Haiti. And you will see the faces of the Syrian Lebanese who have actually been sanctioned, like Gilbert Bijou and Sheriff Abdallah, Andre Abed. And the thing is, I've lived through this before. They were sanctioned during the first coup d'etat, but they laugh at it because they know nothing's going to happen to them. They still
Of course. But it's not even that they still here, the moment. Some of them live in America, right? And so they've been sanctioned, not by America, now, by Canada, yes, for being complicit in shipping of arms, to these what they're referring to as gangs. Biggio lives in Florida, where all of the arms are coming from. Everybody knows that the arms are being shipped from Florida into Haiti, and they could arrest Biggio right now if they wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the U.S. is the greatest violence and law breaker in the world. So at the outset, you have a sin with this new so-called hope of this group of people, right?
Yeah.
They not only they're gonna do pretend elections, because there's just no way the United States is gonna run in elections with these people. And you're going to have a popularly elected person that's going to represent the interests of the Haitians. No, it's never going to happen. And then you're going to have, like I said, they're going to change the Constitution. And what they're going to say is that they want to change they're going to say something benign, something that the diaspora wants. There's many in the diaspora that wants to come back to Haiti and participate in the government.
Yes.
Like I said, I don't know why they would want to do that. For me, politicians are about lying the least common denominator, and the best thing that diaspora could do is to do a business where they put people to work. You understand? But everybody wants a title and to run around to CARICOM meetings and to go to red carpets and VIPs at the airport. That's what they want, right? Because they're gonna live in a broken down palace.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And then whatever the trickle down that the international, because like I was telling you about those consulates, I just remember when I worked at the Ministry of Justice, Japan came, a bunch of them came, Taiwan, Japan, France. France actually had an employee, like they go to each one of the ministries and they put an employee there to watch whatever the minister is doing. You understand? And then they control all the decisions. I promise you, when I was there, the minister of and it's still going on, and I want the diaspora to be very clear about it. When you become a minister in Haiti, the first thing that you have to sign is a power of attorney that says that USAID can go to Washington and raise money for projects of reform that you approve. You don't even know what it is, but you have to sign the power of attorney. I still have that power of attorney that they gave to the Minister of Justice who I represented. He was like, Èzili, what do I do with this? I'm like, in America, a rapper or a filmmaker or whatever came to me and said, hey, listen, the record company wants me to sign a power of attorney to negotiate my contract. I'm like, no. Right?
Yeah.
But that was the reason why they
this is important.
At the time. And I ended up, with holes in the hotel. Somebody came and shot at my hotel room because I said no. And they were like, ooh, this is the way it's done. I was like, well, you know
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
This is a custom, they told me. I said, well, you know, there was a point in time when slavery was a custom.
Mama. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot in what you're saying, but you're dropping very important information. Where I want to go right now, by the way, Mama had just given an idea of how they try to transition this government into power. I've heard a day of sometime by the end of next year they want to have a fully established government. But what Mama is saying to us is that they go for a constitutional process, yeah, and we're gonna have to pay very close attention to that constitutional process. In the same way, we're going to have to pay attention to it in places like Jamaica at the moment, because Jamaica is talking about becoming a republic and getting rid of Charles as the head of state. But because of the fact that the elite in Jamaica is a corrupt one and a neo-colonized one at that, you know, we have to watch that process very clearly. But in the immediate sense, Mama, we know that what they are actually trying to do is install an occupying force. And with that, I just want to play a video, yeah, that was shared by Canada News, CBC, and we are going to just check out this and a reflection from somebody in the army in Belize as well. All right, both videos about a couple minutes, Mama, and then we'll come back to you for some analysis. Okay, so let's check this out, brothers and sisters.
Inside an old prison compound just outside Kingston, Jamaica, what looks and sounds like a major military operation. In fact, it's a training exercise, the culmination of 4 weeks of military training for troops from 3 Caribbean countries, Jamaica, Bahamas, and Belize, under the guidance of Canadian forces, mostly from Valcartier, Quebec. And all of it with one daunting goal: to get into Haiti, to try to begin to bring order to a place that's now all but overrun by paramilitary gangs. The Canadians came to Jamaica focused on a number of aspects, chief among them instructing first aid in combat zones. The goal is to create a team from the Caribbean that would support troops from Kenya who will lead the mission into Haiti.
So, brothers, I'm just pausing quickly here to say to you, pay attention to the power dynamics implicit in what this reporter is saying, because in none of this are the Caribbean nations involved or the Caribbean community in any kind of power position as far as what the reporter is saying at the moment, right? CARICOM is not orchestrating anything as a part of this operation right here, apart from supplying troops to be trained by Canada.
On this final day of training, Canadians kept careful watch on how it all played out. So too, government and military planners from throughout the region.
It has been phenomenal. I think it has demonstrated the Canadian government's very real commitment to ensuring that it is a part of creating change in Haiti.
But, says Jamaica's Foreign Affairs Minister, more is needed from Canada and other countries before these troops could deploy.
What we do need is the financial support and the equipment support from our larger developed countries to make sure that they are force effective when they deploy.
And for the Caribbean troops, that's a key factor on timing. And so the question of when they'll go into Haiti remains unclear. The head of the Canadian contingent here told CBC News, whatever the future holds, this work is done.
I feel good about it. It is absolutely a tremendous commitment by Canada, and we delivered on that commitment.
And Paul, Haiti has seen foreign intervention in the past with mixed results. What's different about this mission?
Yeah, well, you know, I used that word intervention in my conversation with Jamaica's Foreign Affairs Minister today, and she immediately pushed back on it. And she said, by design, this is not that when the troops do go in, it'll be strictly to come to the aid of Haiti's police, who, as it stands, are overwhelmed and outgunned by those gangs. Haiti is spiraling. And again, so when the troops go in, we're told, it'll be simply to help Haitian authorities try to reverse that. Nothing more.
Paul, thank you. Paul Hunter reporting from Kingston, Jamaica.
All right, so that's one. We're going to play one more, Mama.
That we are currently undergoing is this training that we are currently undergoing is actually the second phase of training. We started to train along with the Canadian military in January of this year. The very same team that is currently over in Jamaica did a 1-week training here in Belize, where the Canadian military came in country to do an introduction to what peacekeeping operations under the United Nations umbrella really looks like. So they looked at issues such as international humanitarian law, use of force policy, and so forth. So now we're moving over into Jamaica to do more operational training along with those other countries that will form a part of the joint task force in preparation for a possible deployment into Haiti. So they will be there for 4 weeks, and they would do operational training that will prepare them for the different scenarios in Haiti. We do understand and appreciate the level of risk that they will be taken into Haiti. Therefore, this training is very, very crucial to prepare these men for that possible deployment. So you're looking at peacekeeping and stability operational serials, what to do in certain events, looking at use of force policy, and to ensure the men are best prepared to go into that very high risk environment.
All right, so I'm playing both of those things so you understand the context in which this training is taking place. Now, again, I repeat, notice that none of this, as far as the people who are involved in it, is being orchestrated by CARICOM, right? None of it. As far as what was said a minute ago, brothers and sisters. After this, we're gonna delve deeper into what Mama Ezili was referring to in terms of solutions, and you can also ask questions by @GotKushTV. If you want your question asked to Mama Ezili, please @GotKushTV, so I can make sure that I come to your question. You've identified yourself, and we will definitely get your question out. Now, Mama Ezili, I mean, what is your reflection on what I've just played?
I have that video on my IG, and I urge you all to go see it, because I put my IG is Zili without the E, ZiliDanto. And then you could read people's reaction. I think that might be helpful. But for me, this is a pretend. Remember what I said about the white man and colonist. Whatever you see him doing, he's not doing it for the reason he's telling you he's doing it. Black lives do not matter to them. So it's not because of what you see, the violence porn of black on black crime. I mean, that is very shameful that we've come to this point where black men are killing people like they're doing with, Boko Haram. But essentially, they want to tell you that intervention is the answer. But the answer to what? Are they going to go after the folks that finance the gangs? Are they going to go up to the billion-dollar houses in AYITI and arrest them? Or just their frontmen, their gunmen? So ask that first. All right, because in all of there's been 10 interventions in the last 30 years, but those families are still there. They finance murder. You don't need to have a law degree like I have and 35 years experience to know that the person who organizes the violence, who brings in the guns from their ports, who distributes it to these hungry, poverty-ridden men. At least that's how they were at the beginning. Now they've definitely made it into an industry and gone freelance. They're taking orders now. But and that's what the United States wants to come and control. But essentially, the question you have to ask is, are they? So, like I said, you don't have to be a law student or anything to know that the person who is the thought leader for is more culpable than the one who pulls the trigger.
Yes, sir.
Right? So Gilbert Bijo, right? A guy from Aleppo, Syria, his whole family, they own Fito. That's what 2004 was about, right? They killed all those folks that were there until they pacified that community. Remember, told Ruto to come and pacify Haiti for him. Abinader is the Lebanese who's the president of the Dominican Republic. Ruto is the Kenyan slave trader, modern slave trader, who's going to be paid to be mercenary to come to Haiti.
Right.
So I just say that the core group nations, those 6 nations, the United States, France, Canada, Germany, Spain, Brazil,
the EU, the European Union,
then the 3 organizations, EU, UN, and I mean, they come as one fist. These are executioners. They are so mad that Haitien, since 2004, that's 20 years, we've been fighting back.
Yeah.
If you go back, you will see millions of, before the death of Jovenel Moïse, millions of people were on the street, even if they knew that the way the U.S. the way they're training them, they're not training them to come and arrest people. They're training them to shoot them in the head.
Yeah.
Period. That's what they do. Headshots. Okay. I actually have high blood pressure from like being in those spaces where they walking next to you and then they shot them in the head and he falls. And the shock and trauma never leaves you. Do you understand? So that's what they've come to do. All right.
Yeah.
They've come to kill us.
Yeah.
They said with the Ottawa Initiative back in 2003 that Haiti would have 20 million people by 2019, and they had to prune that. Well, they did that with the Minister Mission. The Minister Mission, just like this mission now, okay, is a way for them to recruit their agents.
Yeah.
So think of it as the AFRICOM of the Caribbean.
100%. Well, they have Southcom, so Southcom already exists, which is literally the Africa of the Caribbean. But yeah.
Okay. So this AFRICOM of the Caribbean, where they're going to bring in, that's what Minister was, right?
Yeah.
Because the U.S. insist since 1915, right? They trained our military.
Yes.
When they train the military, they will give a visa to their children. They'll let them go to school in Cornell, specifically Cornell in Colombia. You see a lot of Haitians graduating from those places. Think about it. There's some general in their family. Okay, so they'll save one part of the family, and then the other has to pay the price. This is all over the planet. That's what the Syrian Lebanese are doing here. Right. There's a big Middle Eastern war that the Eurasians have been doing forever. In order to have generals and opportunists and folks that they give something to them, like a cushy life to the cousin in Haiti.
Yes.
You understand? But there's another brother that has to go kill, Palestinians and be in the Ukraine war. This is what they do. So in the American underprivileged communities, you see South Koreans. They're not North Koreans. Okay. And then they'll give them better economic opportunities than they give the local Black folk. That's how they brought the Syrian Lebanese to Haiti. That's who they are. They're not Muslims. Remember, Syrians, right? Muslim. These are Christians. They were French men. That's how the French returned back to Haiti in the guise of the Lebanese Syria, who because of Sykes-Picot and the divvying up of the Ottoman Empire, they were French territories.
Yes.
So our intellectuals are not doing a good job explaining to us who these Lebanese are, whether they're in Jamaica, in the Dominican Republic. Remember Siaga? Remember what happened to Manley? Jamaica hasn't been the same since.
Of course not.
But I'm here to tell you, we indigenous Haitians, we don't look at these pretty languages. We understand that this is liberty or death, and we know that the captured Republic of Port-au-Prince is not Haiti. Let's be very clear. Where all of these white folks are, the closer they are to you, the more violent people will be.
Yes, Mama. Mama, I want to go towards this solution conversation and to contextualize it. One of the dynamics that we've spoken about in previous episodes in this particular series is the fact that the neutralizing of sincere, genuine efforts among the people and the destruction of those efforts is a process that they engage in order to legitimize themselves as the only solution. So now the talking point becomes, well, what are you going to do if you don't allow the Americans in? Basically, the Americans and their power, their military power, is the only option to quell the influence of the so-called gangs, in Haiti. That is the position, and that is the logic that they want us to employ in relation to a situation like this. And we've been trying to get our viewers to understand that our people in Haiti, one, have never en masse just sat down and accepted the oppression, but two, have also engaged in creative means of trying to employ our own solutions. So I want to come back to your work in a second, but in a broader sense, what is it that our people in Haiti and outside of Haiti should be doing in relation to this moment as it stands at the moment? And what do you know of that people are actually engaged in?
Wakale.
Okay.
So, what is that? When you find one of these people, you just send him back to eternity. It's called Wakale.
Yes.
This idea that we don't know what to do is the Western script.
Right.
And it's also the script of the educated Negro. We know what to do. We've done it before. We are the longest survivors of colonialism on the planet.
Yes.
How do we do that? I mentioned Maroon Nation. Like, we know the predators in Port-au-Prince. All they've come to do is tax us and give us no services. So we had to develop a system where we had jardin, where you had agriculture, but they couldn't find it. They couldn't see it because it was deep in the mountains or at the top of the hill, mountaintop. Or it was a bunch of root vegetables that looked like it was part of the wild. We had to learn how to survive.
Yes.
The predatory state that was captured by neocolonialism.
Yeah.
So while these people are paying Game of Thrones, we survive. And just to counter what you said about what are we going to do? Oh my God, about Jimmy Cherizier and Piso and so on. Okay. Under Duvalier, we lived horrors. And the U.S. is a reason for keeping that horrors going and providing aid to it was that it was a shield against communism.
Yeah.
Because at that time, of course, Cuba, and then later on Venezuela, and Haiti is right between that, and we are that cliffhanger note. They can't let it go because then they would have 3 Russian clientele states at their border. So they're not going to let us go. But most politicians somehow believe that they can talk to this man. The only thing he recognizes is steel. So for me, in order to, number one, like I said, there are 12 million Haitians in Haiti. It's much bigger than that. Okay. Back in the day when they were doing a census, okay, it was 13 million. That was 20 years ago. It was 13 million. So they don't want to tell you how many, just like they can't tell you how many African Americans are in America. They do what they do. Okay, but we know. The point is, because the U.S. wanted our labor, and they wanted our lands, right? They've been trying since the revolution to put Haitian back into big plantations. Haitians always fight it. Okay, so that's why during the first occupation, they had to export us out to Cuba and to the Dominican Republic. That's why you have the bates in the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
All right. So, what is the answer? The answer is, number one, we know that they're going to have pretend elections, and all these Negroes are going to run around. They're going to, have campaigns. They're going to try to do a referendum. And there are things to be changed in the Constitution, specifically with regards to the dual citizenship.
Right.
And what we were talking to you about, the Dominique Dupree woman who they would allow in because she has a American passport. All right. We have our position on that. But the point is, there are certain things that could be fixed. But really what they want to change are you can find an article I wrote for the Black Agenda Report about how the World Bank has rewritten our Constitution, like DR did. It's 17, But what happened was, the Constitution cannot be changed by referendum, according to, I think it's Article 284.3. It says specifically you can't use a referendum. There's a particular way to change the Constitution. But what they really want to change is the fact that Mateli, who was put in as their puppet, signed all of these oil. Haiti has one of the largest oil reserves in the Western Hemisphere. The head of Venezuelan oil is in our waters over there. So they had Mateli and this guy here, Ariel Henry, signed all of these things. But under Mateli, there was a functioning parliament. And even though 80% or more of them were drug dealers and bought their seats and were neo-Duvalieris acts, not Democrats, right? That Dessalines blood is still there, and they refuse to sign and give authority to the contracts that Mateli had, and that infuriates control people, right? So that's why they're doing every opportunity they get. They get CARICOM now to push for a constitutional referendum. That we're going to probably, obviously, hack, right? Because the Haitian people, what? Right now, they want security and food sovereignty. That's the major thing. So I would suggest, if you want to see something hopeful in Haiti, don't look at Port-au-Prince. It's going to get worse before it even gets better.
Understood.
All of these men come from such diametrically opposed spaces. The U.S. knows they're going to fight and never get anything done.
Right.
Okay? And you know how hard it is to get a bipartisan bill in America. Imagine here. So they know that, but they put them together. The reason they put them all together like this is so that there's not that stray person like Petit Dessalines who's going to call the people to the streets.
Right.
Now they have them all together. Nobody's going to call anybody. They think. But at the same time, they don't want these people to think they have so much power.
Well, right.
So Pamela's, I call her salope. I don't even know how to say that in English. But she's a dirty woman.
We know what it means. Go ahead.
Pamela Salop White. Okay.
Yes.
She went on Fox News and said that she thinks that Guy Philippe and barbecue, and she knows him so well, right? Remember under Jovenel, who they put into office, under her as ambassador and all that. She knows Jimmy so well. Jimmy Cherizier, Jimmy Barbecue. She don't call him Barbecue. She calls him Jimmy C. She was like her little nickname for him. These are supposed to be neutral ambassadors.
Yeah.
So the U.S. has two scripts going,
Yes.
and we have to figure out how to go around those two scripts. So they have these 9 guys, right, with one woman, right, who are going to run elections, who's going to be in office until February 7th, 2026. Right? And they're supposed to run elections on in 25, and then also do the referendum, right? And then they're going to have, because they have no popular support, they're going to bring in this intervention force to hold them up. Okay, and then the intervention force is going to take Cherizier and Guy Philippe and figure out a way to integrate them, because that's what they do. Remember, I was telling you that back in 1994, when they brought Aristide back, the United States came back with 20,000 troops. They told Aristide they were going to stop the killing and disarm the Duvaliers. When they got there, they let the Duvaliers keep their guns and shoot the Lavalas. And what they did was make the murderers like Toto Constant into civil society people. That's what they're going to try to do with Èzili and Barbecue.
Yeah.
Because I remember under Frapp, which was 1991 to 1994, this was the death squad that was created by the CIA. Okay, it's a 60 minutes. You can look it up. Look up Frapp, Toto Constant, CIA. You'll see it, right? They killed 5,000 people minimum, right, doing that coup d'etat. But when they brought Aristide back, supposedly to neutralize Frapp, what they did was take all of the documents from Frapp out so you couldn't see their connection.
Right.
Okay. And then the U.S. ambassador had a press conference where he said the head of Frapp, Toto Constant, was going to run for president.
Yes.
Okay. They're going to do the same thing now, except they already put it into motion with Guy Philippe.
Right.
And they have a bunch of young Haitians on the radio 24/7 asking for Guy Philippe for their presidents.
Yeah.
So now this is what you have. You have these 9 guys, and then you have Guy Philippe and Barbecue. The U.S. doesn't want peace in Haiti. It works through chaos and violence.
Of course.
So it needs that violence to continue to make us be so fearful and so traumatized that we won't care when they say they're going to give us 2.5% royalties off of our oil reserves.
Yeah. And this is the point, right? So we have to appreciate that when we're dealing with these dynamics, as I've said many times, there is no appreciable distinction between Western governments and Western corporations. They work hand in hand, and they work in each other's interest, where these things are concerned. And there's so much that we could go into here in terms of things that we've explored on previous shows in terms of minimum wage and how that was, artificially suppressed in Haiti to ensure that American corporations can earn more profit and all kinds of different things. It's an important dynamic that Mama is highlighting. But I've got another question for you, Mama. I'm going to pause my question for a second just to come to a couple in the chat. And by the way, moderators, if there is anything in the chat that you think needs to be responded to, please feel free to just repost it with @GotKushTV and we'll get to it. But as I've started a couple comments here, this question, the first one is just asking somebody to remember to @GotKushTV. So I'm gonna go to this one. It says, what is the communication / help dialogue coming from the Dominican Republic? Is the Dominican Republic saying anything at the moment, Mama?
Yes. So when the United States chose Ruto, and I want you guys to really understand geopolitics. Always take out a map. It's very important. Like, we can't do this by like what old colonialism was. Okay, so Kenya is at war with Somalia, right? And U.S. has promised X, Y, and Z. They always want the shorelines, right? That's how they created Djibouti or whatever, and then and so they want you to be, but they can't do that with AYITI, okay? But they can create death squads that's going to depopulate people from those shorelines.
Right.
So what's happening at AYITI is deliberate, intentional, and they don't want those people to ever go back to those areas because they want to make them. AYITI just want it to be a transshipment for oil.
Yes.
Okay, and maybe some tourism, but they won't do tourism because that would require that they let go of the Great Haiti disaster story.
Right.
So, I'm sorry, what was your question?
The question is, what is the communication / help dialogue coming from the Dominican Republic?
Okay. So Ruto. So when they chose Ruto, the first person he went to ask permission to become to be the head of Haiti, he didn't come to AYITI. He didn't even look at Èzili. He went to the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
And they signed a bilateral commercial deal with the Dominican Republic. You guys go to my YouTube channel. I've covered it. I both in Creole and Haitian and so he essentially said we're gonna have a trade relation. So that was the reward. So they gave him a trade relationship with Kenya.
Right.
And then you can look it up in YouTube where you see William Sambo Ruto essentially saying, thank you, for this relationship. We're going to come to AYITI. And then Abinader, the Lebanese, in the Dominican Republic, he says, we want you to pacify AYITI for us.
Yes.
So, but how does the United States pacify countries? One of the ways they've destabilized AYITI is, the apartheid in the Dominican Republic, of course. Then you have the apartheid in AYITI. So being African in this space takes commitment. I don't actually blame people who just can't do it, because it is emotionally devastating to constantly be denied, constantly. So they only want ICE. I was just listening to one of these Haitians. Let me tell you what he was saying. He was saying that the United States the shadow of the United States is a fact. We can't change it. We just have to work within it.
Accept.
And then he said that just like there are mediators, there are mediators between Israel and Palestine, the international community and the group are just mediators for AYITI. I just listened to the interviewer, just sat there and listened to that. Number one, there's not two countries fighting that needs a mediator. This is of AYITI fighting against imperialism. You understand? And then the United States using house Negroes to bring legitimacy and say that they can speak on behalf of the Haitian people. The Haitian people are looking for security, self-reliance, food sovereignty, and an ability to not only travel the world like any human being, but to be able to live like human beings, not in this apartheid state where they're second-class citizen in their own country.
Yeah.
As long as the Syrian Lebanese and the international community uses white privilege to humiliate the Black African, You're going to have all sorts of pathologies. You're going to have the Jimmy Cheriziers. You're going to have the Guy Philippe's. You're going to have all these fearful Stockholm syndrome Black people. So we have to make the difference. They're going to be there. So the U.S. is going to do what it's going to do with Guy Philippe. Going to do what it's going to do with and I already told you what it's going to do. Okay, it's going to. Pamela Salop White already went on national TV to say that Guy Philippe and barbecue should be. She said they should be part of the CARICOM conversation. You understand? All right. So that's not going to go away. It's a part of humiliating us, like doing slavery. We had to live with our rapists, our murderers, our terrorizers, our executioners. They want us to do that because they know that will kill your spirit. Imagine, if, all right, a woman in Del Mar, or who lives in the area of G9 or GPEP, who was kidnapped and raped for 2 months. Now she's gonna watch barbecue and GPEP and those people become part of the ruling class. They did this already in 1994. You understand? So for me, this is my people, the indigenous Haitian, Dessalines descendants. We say no. We say Dessalines taught us how to say how to say no. We will fight from one generation to the next until we have allies, because we need allies. We need Haitians who understand. You know, Yemen essentially has a drone navy. Right now, the Windward Passage, Haitians could just live off of the toll for all the ships that go through the Windward Passage. If we just control that area and say, hey, listen, this is Haitian waters. You want to pass there to go to the Panama Canal or to go down to South America or to go down to Colombia, you got to pay X, Y, and Z. All right. That day is going to come. The United States knows it. And so I have a solution for them.
Mama, there's I don't know what's wrong with people. I've been saying to people to at GotKushTV with their questions, and I'm looking to wrap up the show soon, and about 5 questions come through.
All right,
at that moment in time. Very good. I can't promise we're going to get through all of your questions, brothers and sisters. I want to leave it late. I said for the all sure for sending the question, and I want to leave it to the last minute, to the 9th hour. So, but we want to respect our mama's time. So do stay tuned. So as long as she can give us, she'll give us. But
I'm good. Go on.
Okay. All right. Cool. Give thanks, mama. So, and by the way, it's important how Mama Ezilidanto just framed the thing, because in the minds of Western governments and all of their agents, whether they look like us or not, and the media, how they frame the conversation is what justifies whatever they propose as the solution. And so when Mama says that we're not dealing with, I think you said civil war, we're dealing with Africans fighting imperialism, and then the imperialists using some of those among us, in their agenda. This is very important. It's extremely important that we understand this is an anti-imperialist fight that we are in, and act accordingly. And so any solution that doesn't address that dynamic is not a solution at all. We have to be very clear about that. All right. Now, Buana is asking, ask Miss Danto, what is the level of investment into AYITI from wealthy Black Haitians, I should say, living in the diaspora? How are they helping to build, I'm sure that's supposed to say, infrastructure through businesses? So once again, what is the level of investment into AYITI from wealthy Black Haitians living in the diaspora? How are they helping to build infrastructure through businesses?
All right. So the biggest aid that the people of Haiti get directly comes from the Haitian diaspora. And the Haitian diaspora, mostly folks who are just blue collar workers, not wealthy Black Haiti. I'm sorry, you can ask that. You can go ask Oprah. But in terms of, you know, what she's doing for Black America. I'm just going to leave that there for a second, just let you think about it. But yes, to answer that question, $3.1 billion sent to Haiti comes from the Haitian diaspora. When I told you about Maroon State, a Maroon Nation, what is that? What is that? It's a nation with a culture that lives outside of what you know that they call Haiti. And I defined it in 4 ways: combite, la cour, jardin, vivre. Combite is when, after slavery, a group of Africans got together to build a community where they were responsible for that community's security and food sovereignty. Okay, that's a combite. La cour is that they had sold our children. We went around looking for our children, so we live with our family in compound. There's about 172,000 la cours in Haiti. And that's old figure, okay? Then you have combite, la cour, jardin. Even back in slavery, they would give you a little plot of land because they didn't want to give you any food. And so on Sunday, they used to go and tend their own garden. After slavery, we put it into the la cour. So if you have a family that has 10 houses in this compound, they have a large field where they take turns growing the food for the entire community. That's la cour, combite, jardin. Vivre it means life. So those 3 gives you life. And self-defense is a human right. So that's the basic ideology of the Maroon Nation. If you want to see that nation in operation, building infrastructure, what Clinton did when he came back with Aristide, which is what I'm saying to you, when they come, okay, and they get this legitimacy through someone who was a good person with good intention, they end up destroying all of the state institutions and privatizing it to the so-called private sector. They ended up bringing down the tariff from like 35% to something like 3%, so that the 70% of Haiti is agriculture, is farmer. A subsistence, they call it, right? I just call it la cour, vivre, jardin. You understand? It's it's the reason I am here. Grand, right? Living where they lived, right? Got their donkeys, went to the market, had an informal economy, which the World Bank doesn't count. Keep saying we live off of $1 a day. It's a lie. We have an informal economy. We have lands. We have more land. All those 14 Negroes who are trying to tell us what to do at CARICOM. They no longer have any land. Haiti own their land. That's why they have to destroy us. Okay, but they do not count it as an economic value. You know, like right now, if you own land in America, you can get a loan on it. We don't do that. And I'm asking Haitien, who's in the diaspora, to create the economic infrastructure for that. Go look up Wanamet Canal. The Haitian diaspora has financed while all this stuff is going on, and you're going to hear about it, right? Just look it up. Right? There's a Haitian American, I think her name is Bertrude. She did very good work, along with a whole bunch of other Haitiens and a pastor, Moise. So when the United States and Bill Clinton started dumping rice, they destroyed something like 850,000 jobs in Haiti. And then they brought the people to Port-au-Prince to work in factories. Those are the people now that have become gangs, because now the factories, when the U.S. has its own other thing to do with China, they brought them to China. So then they left the people with no work. And then they had left their farms. Now, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, all we were saying at the Free Haiti movement is to get out of Port-au-Prince. It's going to get really bad. Those people who have gone back to their lacus, they are creating irrigation canals so that they can take care of growing their own food.
Right.
So if you want to look at that, if you want to, I urge you to get in touch with this. She's on IG, and you could see the canals. As a matter of fact, if you go to my Twitter, I always, whenever I see something positive, we always support it. Okay. So we have the canal, and now they're building a second canal, right? The Dominican Republic is so mad at us because they make about $2 billion giving us their foul food.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Self-sufficient in the Latibonite area, the breadbasket of Haiti, we fed ourselves up until 30 years ago when they came to give us famine. Remember, famine is a way that the Vikings and these Anglo-Saxons, that's how they do their wars.
Their war, yeah.
Hungry people, all right? And you can buy them.
Yeah.
For me, first answer is food sovereignty. And then we have to go back to Combit Laku, where now we have technology. And I urge, and we are doing it at every village.
Yes.
It's off a drone. If somebody new comes into that area, be in those four corners, everybody knows who it is and question who is it and why.
100%.
What I'm saying is self-reliance is godly.
Yes.
Stop waiting for a government to do anything for you. This is what the NGOs have left us as a habit, especially in Port-au-Prince. A lot of Haitians are used to like this free food. This is how they colonized the Native Americans with their reservations, right? So for your question, it's not wealthy Haitians. It's Haitians who work every day like I do, who are investing back into AYITI, but you're not going to see it. So I urge those of us who are in solidarity with AYITI to support Combit Laku Jardin Vive. If it has to be Haitian-led, Haitian capacity building. Just remember those two words. If it's not Haitian-led, it's not Haitian capacity building, don't do it. No Red Cross, no white savior.
I want people, when this show is concluded, to go back and listen to what Mama's answer to that question was again. Because I don't care who you are, you never caught all of that, right? And there's a lot in what Mama just said a minute ago. All right. You know, I could press more in terms of, because I think you began by saying that there's not a significant wealthy Haitian elite outside of the country. Most of the people are just working class people who are sending their money back.
I mean, you know, I don't know if you want to talk about Wyclef Jean. He's on the other side.
Oh, Lord of mercy. Let's not go there right now.
I don't know what you want to talk about.
What I will say, Mama, is that in my first show in this series, I did call his name as in relation to critique, right? Because what Wyclef is doing is calling on Jay-Z and what name? Tesla, Elon Musk. He was having a meeting with Elon Musk. That's Wyclef's solution. So that's what.
Yeah, well, Elon Musk is already in Haiti.
Of course he is. But so I don't know if we would consider Wyclef wealthy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, well, if we're comparing wealth by Bijou and them man there, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't consider them really, Haitian in that way. So those white Syrian people have never done anything or left anything.
No, that's not the point I was making about. What I'm saying is we have to contextualize what wealth means, right? So even Wyclef, as in terms of being a successful entertainer, is peanuts in comparison.
But that's what they sell to our young people. Everybody wants to be a rapper. Ezo is a rapper. Ezo, the gang member I told you that was very powerful because he has boats on that Gulf of Port-au-Prince, and he's doing organ trafficking and so on.
Of course, but the most important aspect of what Mama has said, though, is what is taking place among the people on the ground, particularly in the rural areas. Yeah,
Yes, I've done a lot of interviews about this, so you can go to my YouTube channel. I've done interviews with oh my goodness, the Dr. Kalanga, the one that did Kwanzaa. I did a lot of interviews with him about those. Yeah, I've been talking about Combit Lakuvi for a long time, but because of what's happened, where there's no government, the people had no choice but to give up the NGO stuff and start trying, especially since Dominican Republic was deporting them.
Right.
So right on Massacre River, there's the Wanamet Canal. And it's also there that you see that there's a level of maybe we can have a citizens military, because what happened is that when the Haitian military, when the Dominican military came to intimidate the people, because they don't want us to be food sovereign.
Yeah,
they want us to constantly be getting their foul food, because they take like $2 billion off of us per year. But when the people started to do the canal, they were blocking it, because part of the Massacre River Canal comes out in the north in Dominican Republic. So they're trying to block that. What happened was, while all this stuff was in the media about barbecue and cannibalism and Guy Philippe and the 9-headed transitional, the people themselves in these areas, in the rural areas, were building an amazing canal on their own by themselves. And then when the Dominican Republic came to that border with guns to try to get them to stop, a group called BESA, which is a brigade for environmental disasters and so on, right? They didn't even have a lot of guns, right? They came, not the Haitian police, because the Haitian police, remember, if the United States or Canada or France, any of the core group is training them, their interest is foreign interests, except for a few. Okay, so BESAP, which was an internal group, started protecting the people at the canal. That made the people so grateful that we started thinking, maybe as a substitute for these gangs, this so on, we can even with the younger people who are captured in these areas where the gangs are, who have nowhere out, maybe we could bring them into BESAP and give them something to do. So that became something that's still part of what people are thinking about.
Right.
As an alternative to like foreign intervention, or even if they had foreign intervention, another group that would protect the Haitian people from this imperialistic murdering group.
Yes.
So that's going on, and you must know about it, right?
100%.
Now, Philippe, when he came out of prison, he was the guy that had the U.S. made him the last barbecue, right? They said he was a revolutionary and a freedom fighter, and then when they were finished with him, they put him in prison for drug dealing in Miami.
And now they're trotting him out as some kind of sage figure.
Yeah. So now they're like saying he's a savior, because a lot of people are desperate. They think since he had some sort of like military background or police background, that they're so desperate because of what's happening in Port-au-Prince, that maybe he can help them. But the one of the script is that barbecue and the Vive Ensemble, which is the coalition of all of the gangs in Port-au-Prince, the story is that they're the ones that stop flights into the airport. Well, just recently, right before the sworn-in ceremony, a big U.S. plane came in, and I didn't see none of them shooting on that.
Nobody never started shooting,
right? So, and we don't hear anything about Guy Philippe, okay? He, like I told you, Pamela, the ambassador, said that so the U.S. is not going to let one person rule. They have to have its counter. So they keep chaos going. And the counter is
100%.
the death squads. Okay. Now they had Pamela White say that, and then just recently, like a couple of days ago, the chief of police that was in power doing the murder of Jovenel Moïse in 2021, his name is Leon Charles. He's absolutely a U.S. asset, has always been. After the death of his, of a president under him, they gave him a reward by putting him in as the ambassador to the OAS.
Yes. Mad thing. You know what?
He just came out and said that Guy Philippe and barbecue are the saviors of the country. So that's U.S. Remember that, okay? But they have their plans, and then we have ours.
And all that we need to do is put some more strength behind our plans, and be able to protect them. That's what people
allies. We need
understand.
allies. Like the Kenyan ally was really, really important. I'm working with the Congo right now because they also have a core group. And we want to bring legal action against these people for the murder and genocide that they are presiding over, both in Haiti.
I'm trying to bring the Kenyan brother on, Okot. I'm going to try and
you.
Give thanks. I'm gonna try and bring him on to talk about what happened in Kenya there.
All right. Next question that you want to go to.
Yes. That was cool. But this is serious. And you know what? Just to say before I come to the next question, there's a whole history in terms of economic warfare against Haiti and how things like Haiti's agriculture have been destroyed specifically for the purpose of making a market, creating a market for Western corporations to flood the nation with products like rice and even pigs. And under Ronald Reagan, they literally killed off the swine farming in Haiti, literally, in the 80s. This is a whole story in and of itself. Another subject for another time, brothers and sisters. Kushti's asking, are there any leaders that look promising to the people? I see an Ibrahim Traore type of scenario where the people are fed up and start to seriously one by one chuck out these vampires. So are there the essential question is, are there any leaders who look promising to the people?
Unfortunately, we've been so destroyed that even BISAP, what I was telling you, the quasi-military that was helping the people without any government assistance is now taken over by Guy Philippe. So I don't see Abraham Traore. I see an ezilidanto. I see a the people who are, we have secret societies in Haiti. All right, people who protect their communities. And that's remember, we're a Maroon nation. But what we need to do is scale up that. Use modern technology the way Yemen is using it. Use modern tech. So our children have to know what's underneath their feet and what's around them. Right now, we get like a liberal arts education, and we don't have a military education. We all need a military education. So that's my answer. There are no Abraham Traores. I have taken, between 2004 and 2006, like I said, about 14,000 people were killed by the UN Minister mission. There are many policemen who were good people that my team have helped out of prison, who are now working in different capacities to help their communities.
Right.
That exists.
Right. Understood, Mama. Well, yeah, these a lot of this we're gonna have to come back to, because there's a lot of information here that our people need to know about, and we need to know. We need our people to understand that the imperialist nations are not the only solution. What if the imperialist nations are not a solution at all. Let's put it that way, yeah. And there are many trying to cajole us intellectually and militarily into thinking and accepting, because they're minions of America and Britain and Canada, that is where we should go with the thing. And we need to understand what our people on the ground are doing, brothers and sisters. So I give thanks for the light that Mama is shining on our people on the ground. Question reads, what is the role of Gilbert Biggio at this time? Do we know where Gilbert there? Where am there? And where am I going with? Where am I doing?
So Gilbert Biggio is the most wealthiest well, he's not Haitian, but he's the wealthiest Haitian from Aleppo. His family is from Aleppo. You know, the United States is always like going after Syria. So get a map out and look up Aleppo. He's from Aleppo, right? He has the biggest what do you call that, Panamex port. It's called Port Lafiteau, and it's in different areas in Haiti. And one of the areas that it's in goes straight into where EZO is. So they're funding something illegal, right? So he was sanctioned by Canada for financing gangs. If I had resources, and I'm asking any lawyer who wants to help us, what we need to do is get all the paperwork that they sanctioned him for financing gangs, right? But they don't tell you who the gangs were that he was financing, right? We can only guess EZO, you know, barbecue.
Well, didn't EZO come out and declare that not the oligarch, but I think it was Moïse gave him the gun to do this and that.
That's how they started,
right?
You know, but they never name. This is what I'm saying. That's what can't be a revolution. I have not seen one Syrian Lebanese dead on the floor or their house raided. Right. So but it's acknowledged that Gilbert Biggio finances gangs. Gilbert Biggio lives in Billionaire Row in Miami. On a place, an island called Indian Creek. So we know where he is.
Know him there, yeah.
All right. Now, if I wasn't just so alone, without resources, doing what I'm doing, right? What I would do is subpoena all the paperwork with regards to, they say supposedly that they have frozen his assets for financing gangs. Number one, I would petition for him to be arrested for murder and rape.
Exactly.
Because all that they're doing should be imputed to him. Right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
but Mama, sorry, just can I just clarify something? Sorry, Mama, just to clarify something. Just for our viewers to be clear, they've sanctioned Biggio as an individual. Yes?
Yes.
His corporations are still very much in business,
working. All of them
right.
are sanctioned, right?
And yeah.
Okay, go to my I have a video of the swearing in ceremony of this comedy, right? Amongst the people who were there were sanctioned for financing gangs.
Gangs, yeah.
Wait. Do you know what I'm saying? At the swearing in ceremony of CARICOM UN US new transitional replacement for Èzili. At that, there were at least 2 men who have been sanctioned by the United States for drug dealing and drug trafficking.
Yeah.
They came in and they've been in Haiti for a long time. Yuri Latorture and Joseph Lambert. Both were former head of the Haitian Senate. Okay. Canada sanctioned them for financing gangs. Now, supposedly, right, these Negroes who just got sworn in French. No, remember, 95% of more than 95 Haitians speak Haitian,
French.
right? But they were
Mhm.
sworn, they were speaking French, okay? Because this is what's for their masters. So as they got sworn in that ceremony were people who financed the gangs that when CARICOM put them in office, they said that they had to agree to bring in Kenya to get rid of the gangs. So the people who financed the gangs were at this at the swearing ceremony. So how are you going to have something different? It is mind-blowing,
Yes.
illogical, and that's what the colonist is. So so Gilbert Bijou owns something called ZiliD d'Haïti, which is the steel works of Haiti. He makes billions out of steel.
Yeah.
And I'm asking, where is Ogu? Why can't we make those steel and those things that we need to protect ourselves in Haiti?
100.
He also controls, like I said, Port Lafito and fuel. Okay, that's why we have a program that is about using solar power in a country so that you don't, because whenever they control their fuel, you see people running around in their moped. Why can't we have electric run moped? That's the project that we're working on right now, so that you don't have this dependence on Exxon through the ships of Bijou. So what we got to do, people, is to cut out our dependency.
Yes, on Bakra, yeah. Fire for Bakra dependency. Yeah, man, that was it. All right, brothers and sisters, we got another question here. It says, we was too busy. Okay, this is a response to me saying that the people then wait to the last minute to ask the question. Them, we was too busy taking the knowledge. We was fully engaged in the info. We must process and ask questions accordingly. I understand, Christy. I understand. Give thanks for your work in helping to moderate the chat as well, Mama. That was the last question. Yeah, I really want to end with where you just picked up on, in terms of the work that you are doing with ZiliD, and where that factors in to a solutionary process, because you've mentioned quite a lot in terms of what our people are engaged in underground. For some people that lack vision and lack imagination and lack creativity, they can't envision anything that doesn't involve American government, American corporations, and them serving their interests in Haiti. But what you are doing and what others are doing in Haiti is developing grassroots ways of addressing the direct needs of the people. Yes, and I think that is important that is an important point to end our discussion on today, before we pick up some other conversations in the future. So please let us know about the solar work that you're doing, the things about electric vehicles, water supply, all that kind of stuff. Please let our brothers and sisters know.
All right, what we don't lack is children. The revolution is not going to happen now, because you see where we are. Let's be very clear, right? So my hero, right, was a Dahomean woman who trained, who found what we're finding right now. That a lot of our folks become subservient because they don't see another way. They don't see any way of neutralizing white power.
Yes.
Okay, so they work within it. They call it being pragmatic.
Yeah.
Okay? but the point is, like I said, paying that debt was pragmatic.
Yes, it was.
What did it get us? Aren't they coming back and still here?
Yes.
We always want more.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, the idea that Black people could own and live on the shoreline of any place bugs white people to death.
Yes.
If you even smile, it bothers them. They just want you to be bowing to them. These people are vampires, bloodsuckers. I can't tell you, I don't have the words, but they really want to bring down the level of people in Haiti and our being on that land, even though we've paid for it for so long? The answer was given to us by our ancestors after the death of Jean-Jacques Dessalines. They protected themselves. They lived in community. They created children and made those children understand we are at war. And my answer right now to you is not just for it's not just for people in Haiti. It's for every African. What type of children are you raising? If you're in the Congo, do they know what cobalt is and what it can become?
Yeah.
Our children are descendants of people who built civilization. Give them that priority. Let's give them that, right? Because if you tell someone day in and day out, you're the poorest in the Western Hemisphere, you're going to end up being the poorest in the Western Hemisphere. If you tell them over and over and over again, they have no resources. Well, my work is all the time to tell Haitian all our resources, from iridium to gold to our brains. Right now they have the Biden program and they're taking out, hundreds of thousands of Haitian from Haiti. At the same time, I tell you they gotta bring Bahamas, Barbados, right? They're taking out the Haitian police who has an education into the Biden program to go into exile. They actually have a Biden program office inside the police department where they can fill out their applications and be in America. So they're trying to depopulate all those who have some brains, leave behind those who can't fend for themselves. But our saving grace is the rural areas. They know how to fight back and they will continue to fight back. The diaspora is helping with those canals. The diaspora should continue to help with transferring skills, not being an NGO and giving somebody a piece of bread, but show them how to grow food for themselves. Well, they know how to do it. Okay. Give that value. I always say to the hip hop community, y'all need to figure out how to create country music so people can go back to the land and grow. Because that GMO right now, they say that the rice that the U.S. is dumping into Haiti has some responsibility with how violent and mindless these rapists are, these young men. Because if you look it up, the rice has higher levels of arsenic than regular rice that they send to Haiti. It has arsenic, cadmium, and lead. Because Black men have been a captured population in America for the last 60 years, whether in the military or in the prison industrial complex, they know what level of lead to put into you to make you violent and then back out into the community. All right. So don't the attack, the violence is systematic, vicious, and multifaceted. I suggest that you start reading and not just take on what the media is doing, right?
Yes.
I've been here. I've educated generations. And we may not get the media coverage, but we're doing the work. So there's 2 canals right now you can support and see. You can just see them. Just go to my website. And so Haitians are everywhere trying to gain not only their security, but their food sovereignty. And I know this kind of when Duvalier was there, they had what they called the Tonton Macouts. That's what the gangs were called. Right? Okay. When he left, there were 45,000 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Them all by ourselves. No international community. So we
Mm-hmm.
can take care of this. We've done it before.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes, Mama. It's been beautiful speaking to you. And I think that you've given our viewers a lot of information, a lot of inspiration, a lot of food for thought. Brothers and sisters, if you're appreciating Mama ezilidanto, just give me some black power fist in the chat right about now. Let Mama Ezili know that you're feeling it, that you're feeling the love, and let her feel your love, brothers and sisters. I think that it is essential that we profile the work that you're talking about at the moment. And so I don't know, I would love to bring brothers and sisters who are underground in Haiti, and I know that's difficult at the moment, so we're not pushing it, but those brothers and sisters who are involved in that work to the platform, so brothers and sisters can see them, and we can hear from them in terms of the work that they're doing as well. And so hopefully, if that is possible, brothers and sisters, we try and know that we will bring that to you. But for now, we just want to send our love to Mama ezilidanto. We want to thank you for joining us here today, Mama. We want to thank you for all of the work that you have done and continue to do on behalf of our people worldwide and in Haiti. And we want to send you our love and our strength so that you can keep on going, because you represent your namesake. You know what I'm saying? And you're doing justice to this name, ezilidanto, and I'm sure you're aware of that. So thank you very much, Mama. Ayibobo. Is there a last word that you want to share with our viewers?
Yes. There are some humans within the imperialist cadres.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to give them a solution for their fear that AYITI is going to somehow become a Russian or China satellite.
Yes.
So here's the solution. And I hope all of you will take this and spread it. It is traumatic for people to live on an island for 220 years and not be able to go out and see other cultures. And that's been the life of Haitian. That's why you see them on those boats. The human being wants to go see what's going on, and they feel deprived. In order to change that for my people, and at the same time help the United States with their fear of not having world domination, because we really don't care about that, because we know who we are, what we are, and we've owned this place depuis le marasa, le mot et le mystère. 3 ezilidanto principles for a new world. Haiti can never be a republic. That is a corporatized space of capitalism where the Western nations have created all these Berlin Conference republics to serve their own interests, where they create lines between families, Togo, Burkina Faso, and then they'll tell you that, this is a nation of what? We are the empire of liberty. There are 6 million of us outside of Haiti, over 12 million in Haiti. And I'm sorry, US, we've metastasized. And so, to help you out, we say, let us say that Haiti is this empire of liberty it was supposed to be. It's not a republic. There's 10 departments in Haiti. Each of the departments should get together and take care of the necessities for that department. We don't want to give the United States one person that they can go bring to California like they did with Èzili and have them sign all kinds of things we don't even know about. And then bring these 9 Negroes to tell you, let's ratify it. That kind of republic does not represent us. So sorry.
Yes.
We are convict la cour jardin vive. So I think, based on our historical significance to humanity. We should be a World Heritage Site. Dessalines' law in that space comes into application because as a World Heritage Site,
Mhm.
you can't take our land. We should be like the Vatican. Just this one special space that everybody recognizes,
Yes.
who has had a special history and has paid for that land. So unless you're Haitian, you can't have it. It's a World Heritage Site. We're going to recreate all of the spaces like the Citadel, and we have so many ancient spaces in Haiti, right?
Yes.
We have spaces where the light beings that used to be here, you could see rocks that are carbon dated 135 years ago. We want to share all of that with you, the world, and our culture. So a World Heritage Site. We're not going to be
Yes.
American or Russian or Chinese. Second,
That's right.
we say
Ashe. Aibobo. Aibobo.
one minimum wage for the whole Western Hemisphere. Then Trump, you don't have to worry about building a wall. Nobody will leave.
We're not going nowhere. Yeah. We're not going nowhere.
Okay. One minimum wage. The world is abundant. Okay.
Yes.
Why not? If the minimum wage was like Bernie Sanders said, $15 in America, make it $15 in Haiti. It can be done. The world is abundant. Let's think.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
One minimum wage. Nobody in Jamaica. They still. We do want to go visit other places, but we do want our island life. We do want to be with each other. You understand? So
yes.
World Heritage Site, one minimum wage. Oh my God, I forgot my own thing.
Go ahead,
just
Mama,
look
go
up the 3 ezilidanto principles for a new world. Okay.
Yes.
So this is, and I'm gonna look it up because I just totally forgot.
Yeah, I was thinking I should know this myself.
Yeah, I say it all the time. 3 as anybody in the what's the second one? Ezilidanto principles for a new world. So for me, that's where the world is going because the United States is scared of BRICS. They don't have to be scared of BRICS if no one from the Western Hemisphere would go to BRICS if there's only one minimum wage. And one American passport, excuse me. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? One American passport. Haiti cannot be a republic, just a World Heritage Site. You can come and visit. You could lease land like you do in Monaco. But it is the royals there that own the land. Okay? So I had to look for something that I can bring to the world that's different than the thinking of the regular educated Negro. And for me, one American, it's going to be like that. The United States has messed up so many different countries in the Western Hemisphere. All right. But the Americas is not the United States. We are in the Americas. So one American passport. You understand? One minimum wage. And Haiti's a World Heritage Site. So we get to develop our own country. We invite you to come and see our beautiful culture, our beautiful historical places that we have renovated. And we avoid all these wars. This is my answer to you. And then let us scale up the lacus, because each lacu has a history that is rich, because they've been there for 220 years.
Yes. Roto.
So we offer all of that to the world. In the meanwhile, as we go through this barbecue, Death Squad, remember, we already had it with the Totomakuts. We took care of it with no foreign troops. Remember that I'm asking every Haitian, it's going to if you can, in any ways, Get out of the areas where these people are, because if the U.S. actually lands, it's going to be a bloodbath. Go to those areas. Right now, the most important thing that our people understood is that we must survive, because the world will change, because nature itself is tired of the white supremacist domination. People and everyone see what they're doing to the Palestinians. We wish they would see what they're doing to Haitians. You understand? But but nature itself is tired of this ugly acts of violence against a helpless, unarmed people. And I urge all those 7 nations that UN just announced are coming. Listen, they're gonna kill you because you look just like a Haitian.
Of course.
Okay, and they're gonna put the white mercenaries like they did last time in these outfits where you can't tell they're white, and they're gonna start shooting.
Of course.
Okay, we know it's coming, but as I said, we have metastasized. I asked the Haitian diaspora not to think they know so much that they're gonna replace the local Haitian. To do program where you transfer skills. And yes, our people need to understand that the money you're sending for them, you're working very hard, and not to take it for granted. That $3.1 billion is more than any aid the U.S. sent to Haiti. It goes directly to those families. Okay, but we need to put together different, because the NGOs have made people dependent. So we have to raise, just like Toya help raise and the Congo women help raise the revolutionaries. We have to raise the revolutionaries that are going to work with African countries who are decolonizing, like the ones in Sahel right now, Burkina Faso and so on. Notice that they put Chad in here because the U.S. wants to maintain its control there.
Of course.
So Chad is coming to Haiti. Benin is coming to Haiti. Jamaica, which has the highest murder rate in the Caribbean, is coming to Haiti. When you don't know things, so I suggest that you read a couple of things, right? Forget about this is Ballon de Vesti. But like I said, I kind of skip over what the white people are saying and go to, his words. I think it's all the way up on like page 81. Okay. All right. Read his words first before you read all their stuff, because it's very biased.
Yes, ma'am.
And although this is kind of old, but it does tell you the economic system of the Maroon Nation. Right. And I'm still here. I don't know how much longer, but I am still here. So go to my websites, support our work. Like I said, if I had a very big law firm, we would sue Bijou, put liens on his Dasserie d'Haïti, his court, and all his assets. Subpoena all of the supposedly documents that the Canada has to make him sanctioned, and then take all of those bank accounts they're supposedly, and get a class action lawsuit for all the people that have died, and have all the people who've been sanctioned be responsibly economically for reparations for them.
Of course.
Mama Ezili, brother.
That's it, Mama. I think we've given our people enough for today. Although, I did see Kushti say that we need to get you back on a regular. You know what I'm saying? So no doubt.
This is for you too. I mean, wherever you are, right? Be careful about what you're eating and those GMOs and those.
Of course.
And so food sovereignty is very important. So your security is very important. And make sure if you're living anywhere near the shorelines, these people are about to do World War III. Be cognizant.
Mama, I was in Ghana just a few months ago, and that was a big conversation in Ghana as well. Food sovereignty.
Food
Yeah,
sovereignty.
food sovereignty. It's extremely important, and it's one of the issues where they attack us the most, because a nation that can feed itself can provide for itself in other areas, and so they must ensure that we remain food dependent on them. Yeah, not everything, not everything that they do is about a profit motive. Sometimes it's about securing their power, and the profit motive is a secondary consideration, right?
Yep.
And so they know that they can secure their power if we remain dependent for our food on them. And that is why they have tried to ensure that AYITI, yes, the agricultural sector in Haiti, because of the level, the extent of the land in Haiti, and the fertility of that land and the population of Haiti, they know that a strong Haiti changes the nature of the Caribbean. They know this.
Changes the world, because when
Exactly.
Haiti releases itself from this bind, it releases Africa.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
And I want to tell you something. Okay. There is a part of me that's not just the lawyer or the scientist with the facts. There's a part of me that want to tell you. So thank you to all of you at GotKushTV, who on April 8th doing the total eclipse.
Yes.
Did the drumming. Remember, we are primarily spiritual people. We are cosmic people. And I promise you, take this, right? I promise you, there is a new energy on this planet.
Yes, Mama.
Very, very close to what our energy is that we call upon. And I thank you so much, and all your team in London who answered that call. We were drumming. Like I said, we are so connected to the center of the Congo.
Yes.
You understand? And at that time, right, Queen Nzinga, all those women that came out at Bokai Mambo Inan to say Kupetet Bulekai, right? They had gone into the Catholic Church, learning from Queen Nzinga, pretending to have converted.
Yes.
But when the time came, they took out their machete. All right. I want you to don't have to tell anybody everything. I don't tell you everything. I'm hoping you can read between the lines, my brothers and sisters.
We're reading.
But the energy of our ancestors is here. We want everyone to be human, but those that are non-human, it's time for them to be marginalized. I say give them a Jeff Bezos quest mirror, and let them go ahead and imagine they're killing everybody, but stay away from real people. All right. So I thank you. I know that Abdallah Toya heard you. The women of the Congo heard you. You lifted up some very, very powerful spirits.
Thank you, Mama.
And it is done.
It is done. Aibovo. Mama, no facts necessary. You put out the call. It was our duty to respond, and we just tried to do it in the best way possible. So thank you for putting out the call and calling upon us to raise that energy, because as much as it the spiritual purposes for it are important, it's also important for us to gather and be in communion with each other at a time such.
Water and fire. I think I have water here. There you go.
Yep. I've been hearing the water all throughout the show, and I've been seeing the fire as well. I know what's going on.
Water and fire, people. Remember your elements and what you're made of. Okay, go inside. Self-care. But rhythm right now is changing. So thank you. So you can go to all my sites, bring up that voice. Yes, I think I have 15,000 on free AYITI movement. It should be 100,000. So just go in and subscribe, even if you don't understand Haitian. But look at I contribute there through the albums. Go there. You can always help ZiliD, but definitely help those Wanamet Canal and the Malfiti canals. Haitian-led, Haitian capacity building.
Yeah. Yes, Mama. Well, Mama, we'll make sure we collate all of that information. We've got your information, but you know, the things to do with the canal and everything like that, we'll make sure we collate that properly and share it with our
Yes,
viewers.
there's a woman who's a spokesperson. Look for her. I was looking for her name, but she could. I'll send it to you. I'll send you her name, and you can definitely talk to her.
Okay, cool. I look forward to that. That's going to be a very, very, very important conversation. And so, yeah, all that's left for me to do, Mama, is just to say thank you. And I'm going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very, very much. And know that we'll speak to you again soon. All right. Yeah.
Ayi bobo.
Ayi bobo. Ayi bobo. Brothers and sisters, that was Mama Ezilidanto. And we're going to close out our show now, brothers and sisters. I'm sure that you appreciated the levels of the conversation right there. Bookman, yeah, said, throw away the image of the white man's God. As I said to you earlier, brothers and sisters, I have the honor of delivering the keynote address at the Shemitah for the month of May. And the image is the message is throw away the image of the white man's God, Haiti, and the vision of African liberation. And we know, brothers and sisters, that when we begin to throw away the image of the white man's God, yeah, there are many who are embedded in that image. They have defined themselves according to the image and the dictates of the white man's God. So when we begin to destroy and lick out and mash up and dash away the image of the white man's God, these people become vexed and they want to attack us for attacking the image of the white man's God, because when we attack the image of the white man's God, they feel attacked. When we begin to attack the dictates of the Bakra deity and how they behave in relation to us, the fact that we don't want to be enslaved to their corporations anymore or their governments anymore. Those who have identified with the Bakra God and all the institutions of the Bakra God begin to react with vitriol and vexation because they want to ensure that Bakra governments and Bakra corporations can continue to feast off of the minds, the bodies, and the spirits of African people. They want to ensure that the Bakra God and those who serve the Bakra God can continue to own the ports in Haiti, can continue to own the agriculture in Haiti, can continue to commandeer the land in Haiti, can continue to exploit the labor of the people in Haiti. They want to ensure that the institutions that are inspired by the Bakra God continue to manifest themselves in the midst of our people, brothers and sisters. So they get vexed. And then come around, misdirect, misrepresent, belittle, diminish. That's their job, brothers and sisters. Servants of the Bakra God. And it's like exorcism, you know? When there's a demon inside of you, you watch them film where the demon inside of somebody, and you know, somebody come and say, well, we're going to exorcise the demon, and the physical being of the possessed individual begins to resist and fight back and will even kill the person who is performing the exorcism for trying to heal them. Well, we make no apology for exercising our people, brothers and sisters of the Bakra God. We must be exercised. Of the Bakra God. Yeah. No apology. Vive liberté. Abat esclavage. Vive liberté. Abat esclavage. Long live liberation, independence, freedom, liberty. Down with oppression, enslavement, colonialism. neo-colonization. Vive liberté, abat esclavage. And with that, brothers and sisters, we say unto thee, Tendai Mwali, be thankful unto the Mother, Father, creative life force of the universe. Kudzai Mudzimu Mukulu. We give praises unto our great ancestors. Abibi Tumi, Abibi Fahodi, African power and African liberation for all African people. We encourage you to stay tuned to GotKushTV. We have a WhatsApp group now, brothers and sisters. I'm gonna post a link to the WhatsApp group, yeah, as well as our Telegram channel. So we have a WhatsApp channel. So I'm gonna post a link to that right about now, so you can join that if you want to get your updates on WhatsApp, brothers and sisters. All right, I'm posting that right about now. We will have more in our We Stand With AYITI series. We have a historian coming through. Already interviewed her. Going to be bringing the video to you soon, talking about Haiti in the 1800s. We're looking to get our lawyer brother from Kenya on, and more to come, brothers and sisters. So do stay tuned for our We Stand With AYITI series. Ayibobo, bon combat. Ayibobo, bon combat. Ayibobo, ayibobo. Ayi, 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 bobo.
Minebe obiama Mina bakabusi nengre Mefele sama
Mina bakabusi nengre Minebele obiama Mina bakabusi nengre Mefele sama
Mina bakabusi nengre Minebele obiama Mina bakabusi nengre Mefele sama
Mina bakabusi nengre Minebele obiama Mina bakabusi nengre Mefele sama
Mina bakabusi nengre Minebele obiama